Can you tell me something about the natural history and evolution of your species? How old is your species? Have you evolved from primitive reptiles as mankind has evolved from apes?
Oh, this is a very long and complex story, and it sounds certainly unbelievable to you, but it's the truth. I will try to explain it in short. Around 65 million years ago, many of our unadvanced ancestors from the dinosaur race died in a great global cataclysm. The reason for this destruction between two enemy alien groups that took mainly place in the orbit and high atmosphere of your planet. According to our limited knowledge about the early days, this global war was the first alien war on planet Earth, but it was definitely not the last, and a future war is coming soon. While a Cold War, as you call it, between alien groups is ongoing since the last 73 years on your planet, the opponents in this 65-million-year-old war were two advanced alien species, whose both names are again not pronounceable for your tongues. One race was humanoid like your species, but much older, and was from this universe, from a solar system in the star constellation you call Procyon today in your maps. The other species, about which we know not so much, was a reptilian species, but they have nothing to do with our own species because we have evolved from local Saurian without exterior influence, except the successful manipulation of our own gene. The advanced reptilian species came not from this universe. To use a term you will maybe understand, the other species came not from this universe but from another bubble in the foam of the omniverse. You would call it maybe another dimension. That advanced species are able to walk between bubbles by use of, as you would call it, quantum technology, and sometimes in special ways only by use of their mind. My own species had also advanced mental abilities in comparison to your species, but we are not able to do the matter string/bubble changing without technology, but other species active on this planet are able, and this looks to you like a magic as it had to your ancestors. Back to our own history. The first species, the humanoids, had reached Earth around 150 years before the reptilians, and they built some colonies on the former continents. There was a large colony on the continent you call Antarctica today and another one on the continent you call Asia today. These people lived together with animal-like Saurian on the planet without problems. When the advanced reptilian species arrived in this system, the humanoid colonists from Procyon tried to communicate peacefully, but they were not successful and a global war started within months. You must understand that both species were interested in this young planet not for its biology and undeveloped species, but for only one reason: raw material, especially copper. To understand this reason, you must know that copper is a very important material for some advanced species, even today, because it is, together with some unstable materials, able to produce new stable elements if you induce a high electromagnetic field in that right angle with a high nuclear radiation field to produce an overcrossing of fluctuating fields. The humanoid species seemed to be successful during the first time, but in the last battle, the reptilians decided to use a mighty experimental weapon, a special kind of fusion bomb which should destroy the life forms on the planet but should not harm the valuable raw materials and the copper. The bomb was fired from space and detonated at a point of your planet you call Middle America today. As it detonated in the ocean, it produced an unpredictable fusion with hydrogen, and the effect was much stronger than the reptilians had expected. Deadly radiation, an overproduction of fusion oxygen, a fallout of different elements, and a nuclear winter for nearly 200 years were the result. Most of the humanoids were killed and the reptilians lost their interest in the planet after some years for, even for us, unknown reasons, maybe because of the radiation. Planet Earth was on its own again and the animals on the surface died. Well, most of the dinosaurs died. Not all in the detonation but in the bad things which came after the war, especially in the nuclear winter and in the fallout. Nearly all dinosaurs and reptilians were dead within the next 20 years. Some of them, especially those in the oceans, were able to survive for the next 200 to 300 years even in this changed world, but these species also died, because the climate had changed. The nuclear winter ended after 200 years. but it was colder on Earth than before. Despite the cataclysm, some species were able to survive: fish, like the sharks, birds, little creepy mammals, your ancestors, various reptiles like crocodiles. And there was a special kind of small but advanced dinosaurs which had developed together with the last large animal reptilians like the species you call Tyrannosaurus. This new reptile was walking on two legs and looked a little bit like your reconstruction of an iguanodon. It originated in this family, but it was smaller, around 1.50 meters tall, with some humanoid features. This was our direct ancestor. There are theories that the radiation from the bomb took part in the mutations of the organism of this new breed, but this is not proven. These beings were intelligent enough not to die in the next millions of years because they learned to change their behavior. They lived in caves instead of the cold nature, and they learned to use stones and branches as first tools, and use of fire helped to warm them, especially to warm their blood, which is very important for our kind to survive. You see, we are a very old race in comparison to your kind, which was jumping around as small monkey-like animals in the trees at this time while we invented technology, colonized other planets of this system, built large cities on this planet, which disappeared without a trace in the ages. Around 1,5 million years ago, another alien species arrived on Earth. It was surprisingly the first species since over 60 million years. This would be more surprising for you if you would know how many different species are today here. The interest of this humanoid species, you call them Elohim today, was not the raw material and the copper. It was, to our astonishment, the unadvanced ape humanoids. Despite our presence on this planet, the aliens decided to help the apes to evolve a little bit faster, to serve them in the future as some kind of slave race in coming wars. The fate of your species was not really important to us, but we didn't like the presence of the Elohim on our planet, and they didn't like our presence on their new galactic zoo planet, and so your sixth and seventh creation was the reason for a war between us and them. You can read about that war, for example, partly in the book you call Bible, in a very strange way of description.